Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Legal Latino Heat here. We're going to cover the mayoral debate. I'm trying to get it on ABC, live on ABC. If not, I'm going to have to get it from this YouTube channel, Creative Workshop. So shout out to that. Curtis Sliwa needs to win this, ladies and gentlemen. My internet's on point right now, ladies and gentlemen. Look at Curtis Sliwa.
Noviembre 2. But this was the problem in the 60s that is happening now in 2021. Envy and jealousy. The Asian community is being targeted because they're following the rules. They are successful in achieving academic excellence. Their families, their communities are motivated to take advantage of gifted and talented, to take advantage of the special high schools that exist. And now they're being penalized. They're being told, sorry, play by the rules. You did everything we asked. But because of your incredible success, we're going to disband this program and not allow anyone to get involved. So why are we going to penalize Asian families from Southeast Asia, who in some instances are poor and impoverished if you look at the poverty rates, and are pulling together every nickel, dime, and penny they can and try to get
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
after-school tutoring. What's more important than the children in our communities, the children in our families? If we want to help those children who aren't doing
how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Hit that like button, hit that like button.
Let's not
Mount Lebanon
penalize
bystander, how's
the
it going,
achiever.
Rocky?
So I stand before
Rocky
all
Man,
of
Rocky
you today
Matrix. Here we go.
as the only mayoral candidate who says that not only will I maintain gifted and talented, but we will expand it. We will give those children who have not had an opportunity to qualify for gifted and talented that opportunity. Do you want these people fired?
Yes, if they won't get the back.
So you want the healthcare workers that were the heroes? Well, I would disagree with you.
Oh, come on.
Excuse me, should the police officers be fired? Should the firefighters be fired? So that when all of a sudden there's a fire in a raging building and we don't have enough men or women to come to the rescue. We don't have enough police now. We've been defunded. Crime is just ramping up all over. And you want to deplete the ranks of the police officers even more, of healthcare workers, of teachers. We finally have our children back in the classroom, and you want to eliminate some of them and put them on the outside. Test them, mandate testing if they will not be vaccinated. That's the fair thing to do. How can you look at anybody in the eye that you applauded during the lockdown and pandemic for taking incredible risks, dying, getting sick, and now all of a sudden, for whatever reason, they're not vaccinated? Say, but unlike the cops and the firefighters, you will be fired. You think that's fair? Of course it's not fair. I say no. Let's treat them fair and square. Encourage the vaccine, but mandatory testing.
Mr. Adams, you claim that you would be the best candidate to reduce gun violence in New York City, but the police precincts in northern Brooklyn have some of the highest gun crimes in the entire city. Why haven't you been able to reduce crime in your own backyard?
Chilling video, a mom executed in cold blood shooting on a crowded sidewalk in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, 8 people shot outside the Roosevelt houses in Bushwick.
Underway in Brooklyn after a woman was shot and killed. Police believe she was just an innocent bystander.
Police are trying to determine if 2 shootings on the same Brooklyn street, just minutes apart, are connected.
But the police precincts in northern Brooklyn have some of the highest gun crimes in the entire city. Why haven't you been able to reduce crime in your own backyard?
Eric Adams sucks.
Mr. Sliwa, you've said that you oppose the mandate. So how would you protect city frontline workers and the New Yorkers with whom they interact?
I disagree with Eric. I feel that we don't have enough police officers as it is. So now, after establishing the rules, which were get vaccinated, which I am, or get tested once a week, same with firefighters. What did we do to the teachers? What did we do to the healthcare workers who were crawling into the belly of the beast during the lockdown and the pandemic? I know, because I and the guardian angels were taking care of the emotionally disturbed and the homeless in the subways and in Penn Station. We cheered them at night at 7. Then all of a sudden we decided, de Blasio, who has supported Eric Adams here, they've been a team, that all of a sudden they would lose their jobs. That is a horror if they weren't going to be vaccinated. We should never fire
Thank you,
people
Mr. Sliwa.
for that reason.
The flu. So it's the right time for a flu shot. Flu shots are safe, easy, and available all over the city.
See, we get at this vaccine commercials now. Vote, vaccine commercials. How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Legal Latino Heat here. Hit that like button, share. I gotta share on Twitter. We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
You can catch tonight's episodes of Jeopardy and Wheel late night tonight on ABC 7.
This is an Eyewitness News special presentation, a live debate of the candidates for mayor of New York City. This debate on WABC TV is co-sponsored by the New York City Campaign Finance Board, the League of Women Voters.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
The NAACP New York
Is
State
it loud?
Conference,
Can you hear it?
the Hispanic Federation, and Univision 41.
Can you guys hear it good?
Wado Radio. Now, here is your moderator, Eyewitness News anchor, Bill Ritter.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. 1 week from today, New Yorkers will elect their 110th mayor. Now, whoever is elected will, I think it's safe to say, likely face the biggest challenges of any new mayor in this city's history. Keep the pandemic at bay, keep New Yorkers healthy, keep our streets safe from violence, and keep gun insanity. Get rid of it. It is so prevalent today. Keep people in their homes or get them off the street and into homes and bring back business and jobs. Our tale of two cities, the haves and have-nots, which the current mayor used as a kind of political mantra when he was elected 8 years ago, is more profound now than ever. Our goal tonight is to help you understand who these two candidates are, why they want the job, what they do if they had it, and how they would deal with so many very tough questions that don't have easy answers. Candidates, we're looking forward to hearing tonight how you plan to do all that. And let me formally introduce you. First, the Democratic nominee, Eric Adams, who is now the borough president of Brooklyn, and the Republican nominee, Curtis Sliwa, founder of the Guardian Angels. And with me tonight to ask questions, first WABC political reporter Dave Evans, David, and Univision 41 news anchor Mariela Salgado. Mariela, nice to see you. We are following, by the way, COVID precautions, including social distancing and no audience in the studio. For the visually impaired who would like a description of the participants and the stage, the Campaign Finance Board has set up a Twitter page to describe the participants and the stage. It's at NYCF, they make that NYCCFB. Now, here are the rules. Each candidate will have 1 minute to answer the question with an opportunity for a quick 30-second rebuttal to the candidate who gets the question first. For follow-up questions, 30 seconds. Answers by random drawing, by the way. The first question goes to Mr. Adams, and it comes from political reporter Dave Evans of Eyewitness News. We're going to begin with the issue of guns and crime, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill. We are kind of far apart, so if you can't hear me, I can certainly speak up. So just let me know if you can't hear me.
I can hear you fine.
Mr. Adams, during the pandemic, we've seen an alarming uptick in shootings and murders. You have said in the past that you think stop and frisk, or as you say, stop, question, and frisk, can at times be an effective tool. But of course, as we saw it used during the Bloomberg administration, it was declared unconstitutional because it targeted young Black and brown men. My question to you is, can you give me an example of when and how you think stop, question, and frisk can be an effective tool?
Yes, thank you. And, you know, when you talk about those young men who were stopped, one of them was actually my son. He was stopped. He was questioned. He even identified and stated that my dad is a state senator, and it didn't matter. And it traumatized him until today. I watch his face every time a car drives by.
Oh, here we come with the race.
Correctly in the plan that
oh, geez, the race.
Number one, you call someone and state that there's a person in front of my home carrying a gun. I saw it in his waistband. The police officer that responds, he has an obligation to stop this person question this person, and if it escalates to another level, then he can frisk this person. That's the proper use. That is not what we were doing in the city. In this city, we had a predetermined number that we were telling officers to do every day, and they were targeting Black and brown communities. That is an abuse of a tool. A tool that's abused is no longer a tool, it's a weapon.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Sliwa, do you disagree?
I must tell you, it's amazing that my opponent, Eric Adams, just this morning on the Breakfast Club said that he had met with gang leaders with bodies, Eric. That means gang leaders who killed and gang leaders who killed awaiting trial. Did you stop, question, and frisk them? Did you report that to the police? Could you tell us who those gang leaders were that you met with and which gangs? I think the public has a right to know for someone who declares himself to be the law and order candidate. Did you do that, Eric?
I think our question is, where is an example? What kind of an example would you see, Mr. Sliwa, where stop and frisk should
Well, that's
be
a
used?
perfect example.
And
Known gang members.
I'll follow up and ask Mr. Adams his response to what you said about
Known gang members. Those are the people you're going to stop and frisk because they're the ones in retaliatory shootings and drive-bys that are causing people to have to live in solitary confinement in their neighborhoods.
Mr. Adams, do you care to respond to what you said this morning about meeting with gang members?
Oh, yes, it's so important. And let's be clear, it's only one candidate on this stage that actually faked crimes. We need to be clear on that. While I was protecting people in the city, this candidate on the other side was faking crimes. Here's what I'm doing. Public safety is intervention and prevention. Intervention is right now. I'm speaking to those who have committed crimes.
They're using the big words.
Gangs and tell them what are the paths.
And he attacks Sliwa.
You can find and learn so much on those who commit crimes. Like I spoke to the men and women or the men at Rikers Island when I went to visit there. It's time for us to find out what is causing the violence, as well as being intervention and addressing that violence right now. I have a comprehensive plan that I discussed of addressing violence and how we're going to target those gang members that are using guns.
Mr. Adams.
Eric Adams, I'm a victim of gang violence. I was shot on the orders of John Gotti Sr. to the Gambino crime family, shot 5 times with hollow point bullets. Would you have sat down with the Gambino crime family and my shooter, Michael Leonardi, and sat down with them and tried to negotiate organized crime peace? That makes no sense at all. You haven't even met with the police unions. And you're meeting with gang leaders who were responsible for bodies. That means they killed people. And you meet with them and not with the police unions?
Let's move on to a related question, I think. Mayor de Blasio this year disbanded a controversial plainclothes unit, the anti-crime unit, because it was so aggressive. It was involved, of course, in the death of Eric Garner back in 2014. Mr. Adams, you have said that you want to bring that group back of undercover police officers, albeit you have said with many changes. Why do you want it back?
Well, I have a clear plan on public safety, and that fits into my overall plan on public safety. See, patrol is both something that you are acknowledging the officers that are out there and those you don't know that's out there. That's the balance. If you have the right plainclothes anti-gun unit, that unit would target gangs, target those who are using guns. What you do is keep the in balance and make sure that those officers are doing their jobs correctly. How would I do it? They would, number one, we have the technology. Turn on the cameras. Make sure those cameras remain on so that you see the interaction between police and those who are being identified as committing crimes, and have the officers assigned appropriately. Listen, it's about conflict resolution, well-trained officers, not what we did in the past under the street crime unit, the unit that I talked about in federal court when I testified against that abuse.
Mr. Sliwa, do you think that this is a good idea to bring the unit back? 30 seconds.
We've got to keep it real here, because the problem within the NYPD is they've gone from 5,500 detectives down to 3,500. They can't investigate all the cases. So you look in Brooklyn, where Eric Adams is still the borough president, 3 out of 4 of the gang gun cases are not being investigated. There are no arrests that have been made. And Eric, you haven't been at the gang sites. Mother Gaston Boulevard, 5 was shot drive-by, Brownsville. Roosevelt Homes, 8 was shot.
You weren't there. Haitian mother shot twice by gangs in Crown Heights. You weren't there. And of all places, Carroll Gardens recently, you were not there for the shooting of that.
Shout out to those neighborhoods.
All in Brooklyn, where crime and gang violence has exploded. You haven't done your job, Eric.
We all agree. And we all want to see it stop, and especially gun crime. Let's move on to another show.
You haven't done your job.
This 1 hour because this is a complex city.
That was a good one, Curtis.
Our next round of questioning is with Mayoral.
Thank you, Bill. Gentlemen, we're going to talk about
Telemundo,
education, something
Univision.
of real concern to parents. We'll start with you, Mr. Sliwa. Mayor de Blasio announced plans to phase out gifted and talented program and replace it with something called Brilliant NYC, which is basically a program to train teachers, focus on teacher training. But the reality is that although the majority of the students of the largest district in the nation are Blacks and Hispanics, their participation is less than a quarter in the program. Do you agree with gifted and talented? Would you keep it, sir?
Yes.
I have a personal experience in that both of my youngest sons attempted to get into gifted and talented in Queens. There are about 65,000 children in kindergarten, only 2,500 available slots. I would expand the number of gifted and talented opportunities, especially in the inner city. I don't care if only 3 or 4 take the test and qualify. There should be gifted and talented in every school. And children who qualify, whether they're Black or Hispanic or white or Asian or Southeast Asian, should be given that opportunity. But there's blowback now because Asians and Southeast Asians are doing so well. They beat out my 2 youngest sons for gifted and talented.
Asian people are smart.
There should be more gifted and
Asian
talented
people are
slots,
smart.
so others, like my youngest sons and other sons and daughters, can have that same opportunity. We can do it. We can expand gifted and talented.
Mr. Adams, would you expand it as well? Would you keep the current gifted and talented?
When it comes down to this topic, it's not only professional, it's personal. You know, I talked about it all the time, sitting inside the classroom with a learning disability, discovering it once I got to college. That's the failure. If we don't educate, we will incarcerate. I would not only expand the program, I would also have parents, their children to opt out of taking the test. This way, we would catch all the children who are capable of being gifted and talented. But also, let's also focus on those children that learn differently, those who have learning disabilities, dyslexia. Let's make sure we provide educational opportunities for them. I would do universal screening for dyslexia and give the support where it is needed. And we must redefine education in our system, not only from K through 12, but from pregnancy through profession. That is how we educate in the 21st century. And I'm excited about what we could do with gifted and talented. And not only an exam is a gift and talent, let's look at all ways our children are gifted and talented.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. A follow-up question for you, Mr. Sliwa.
Adam's so
Just today,
fake.
an FDA panel authorized vaccination for the youngest children from 5 to 11 years of age. Would you support or require those children to be vaccinated in schools? And what about those families who don't want their children to be vaccinated? Would there be an option for those parents?
Well, I met many of those families yesterday as they marched from Metro Tech across the Brooklyn Bridge to City Hall to say, wait a second. We just got our children back into public schools. The religious schools and the parochial schools did a magnificent job last year having children in the classroom with their teachers. Finally, we get the children in the public schools, like my own sons, 3 sons. I have one in high school, junior high school, elementary school. And now all of a sudden, if they can't get the vaccine, or because of religious belief they can't get the vaccine, or the parents are not involved and decide the child should not have the vaccine, after a year and a half of playing Fortnite, of roadblocks, of not getting educated, we deprive them of a year and a half of education, we're going to kick them out? We're going to expel them? What kind of compassion, what kind of care is that from a government that says, if you don't do what we say, you're out? Kicking kids out of school.
You're out.
Absolutely not. Thank you, Mr. Adams.
That's a
What
New
would be
Yorker
your
right
take
there.
on that? Would you
Curtis
make
Sliwa.
kids get vaccinated, or would you give parents an option, remote option, perhaps?
This issue is just such an emotional issue, and it's understandable. It's our children, it's our babies. But let me be clear, New Yorkers. I was there on the ground. I saw what happened to this city. I saw the bodies in front of our hospitals, temporary morgues. I saw the countless number of people who lost loved ones, leaving their family at the hospitals. I know what COVID did to our city, a formidable opponent. And when we engage in a conversation, we must do it in a responsible way. Not only must we support and protect those children, but also the children they come in contact with. So we should have options. I am open to having the remote options of education. I am open to look at those that the Lord allows. If you have religious beliefs, I believe we should look at that, but we can't go backwards. COVID devastated our city, our economy, the communities, and families are still living with the trauma of COVID. I'm not going to go backwards. We must protect the people in the city.
So you will offer remote
we're going to face firing civil servants this Friday. Hero police officers, firefighters, sanitation workers, healthcare workers who have already been told either you're vaccinated or you're fired.
All right,
teachers. This Friday, it is a disgrace. These people and these mandates. And when I'm mayor, I'm hiring them all back and I'm giving them back pay. This is a violation of their rights. Get vaccinated, but more importantly, if you can't or won't, then you should. You absolutely should be able to get tested once a week.
Let's just try to keep to the time, please, because we have a lot to cover. Let's just continue with this COVID situation because I want to talk
Sliwa
about
was like a
Friday
New
deadline.
Yorker, man. He
Mayors
don't
ordered
care,
all
man.
city workers to be vaccinated and inoculated.
He
by
gets
then.
to go
If
all out.
not,
This is
they
his
don't get
last
the shot,
chance.
They're not fired, sir. They're on leave, and there's a very big difference. But that has its own problems, and I want to talk about strategy. Mr. Adams,
Leave with no pay, Bill.
what's your strategy?
No pay.
What's your strategy about these mandates? And because whoever's elected could inherit
Sliwa was
thousands of
emotional,
critical
man.
workers and first responders who may have walked off their jobs because they refused to get inoculated.
Well,
how do you protect the city?
Bill, let's be clear. I was one of them.
You didn't walk off your job, sir.
No, I was one of them that was a civil servant. I did not get here merely because I woke up one day. I protected this city. I know what it is to be a first-line responder. And here's what I would have done that I think the mayor did not do. I would have communicated with the unions like I've done so often. And it's about sitting down. What are they asking for? They may want to know what happens on the day that you take get the vaccination, or if someone get ill after the vaccination. So there are questions, and we don't know what those questions are. I would have engaged the credible messengers.
You get ill
That's how
after
you get
it?
things done. You speak with the credible messengers, the head of the unions, and come up with a resolution. And I believe we could accomplish that.
What about talking to your friend and teammate and the man who says he's your political advisor, the mayor, Bill de Blasio, and telling him to stop this madness? Do not fire these people on Friday. And again, they could have been tested once a week if they couldn't be vaccinated or wouldn't be vaccinated. It was working with the police. It was working with the firefighters. Wouldn't you agree with me? They should not be furloughed this Friday.
Furloughed,
Curtis,
yeah.
I would agree with you that you should display a level of discipline. They laid out rules here, and you should try to show that. You're acting like my son when he was 4 years old. Show some discipline so we can get to all of these issues. You're interrupting. You're being disrespectful.
What?
Show a level of discipline. You want to be the mayor of the city of New York? Start with discipline.
Eric, show compassion, show care. Don't just be a robot. People are going to lose their jobs, their income. And when I'm mayor, I hire them back. I give them their full pay.
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa.
That's what I'm going to do.
We're going to move on to the next subject.
He's acting like a robot. It's true.
Mr. Sliwa, your opponent has at times
Call
we've heard
them
over the
out.
last
You
couple
had
of
good
weeks,
shit.
several
You had to
times
call him
called
out.
you a clown. He has called you a Trump mini-me. I
Trump,
want to see
with
your
the Trump
reaction to
stuff.
that, but I also, by your own admission, you faked crimes, a kidnapping, a robbery in the 90s. So why should voters in New York trust you?
Well, you know, it's interesting. He calls me a clown. I guess I'm Pagliacci right across the street. As you know, I could be in Lincoln Center. That's so beneath you, Eric Adams, especially after you wrote an op-ed piece praising the guardian angels. Did I make mistakes early on? Yes. And I've apologized for them. But talking about faking, you fake where you live, Eric Adams. We still don't know where you live. You live in Jersey, most people say. And then you blame a homeless person for your accounting problems with the IRS. For the second time, you've gotten in trouble. for wrong filings, and you blame some homeless man that you had as your accountant. I hope you don't appoint him, if you get elected mayor, the budget director for the city of New York, because Bill de Blasio, your friend, has done enough damage to this city. I can't imagine why you wouldn't just take responsibility. Man up, Eric. Say, it's my responsibility, and I'd like to know where you actually live, because you keep faking that.
Mr. Adams, do you care to respond? And also, do you stand by your comments about him being a clown and a buffoon?
Well, I got to bring that up.
New Yorkers are seeing the example of the clown-like actions. And listen, we're not his circus, New Yorkers. And yes, I praise the Guardian Angels, but it really devastated me after protecting their right to patrol the subways to find out that they were faking crimes. New Yorkers, understand this. It is a crime to fake a crime. He faked a kidnap.
Here we go.
He faked a robbery.
Back to the 90s.
He faked that he found the gun. He hid money so he would not have to pay child support. That's not the city I want to live in.
That you would say that. That is scurrilous that you would say that I hid money. I paid every penny of my child support for my 3 sons, Anthony, Carter, and Hunter. How dare you bring my family into this? I haven't at all brought your family into your problems. Please show some discipline. Civility. Keep our families out of this.
Okay, let's move on. Mayoral?
Yeah, I'll start with you, Mr. Adams. During the George Floyd protests, while most were peaceful, we did see some looting and some violence. First, the mayor was criticized for not doing enough, not having enough cops. Also, some accused officers of being overly aggressive. Right now, 65 officers are facing departmental charges. If you were mayor, how would you have handled that situation, sir?
Thank you. Policing is a difficult task. I know how difficult
He's
it is.
such a robot,
but,
man.
The nobility of public protection is crucial, and it must be held to a high standard. So I would do an analysis of the charges. If you said something that was discourteous or disrespectful, then you should have a penalty that's suitable to that. But if you pull down the face mask of someone and mace them in the face while their hands were up, you cannot serve in my department. You cannot allow someone to cross the line. And far too many officers have called me and stated that we want a police department that is respected and rebuild trust in our community. And those are the officers we want to serve and protect our city. So it depends on the crimes. It depends on the allegations and what they were found guilty of. I would take appropriate actions. Fair, but they will be appropriate.
Typical
actions.
politician,
Mr.
man.
Sliwa, how would you have handled those protests if you had
Take
been
it,
mayor?
Curtis. Take it.
I'll tell you this, the police are always getting criticized. I remember in that summer when there was rioting, shooting, and looting in the streets after Mr. Floyd was killed in the streets of South Minneapolis. I noticed Eric Adams was not defending members of the police department who are under attack, who are being assaulted. Look, Molotov cocktails being thrown into their vans. Graffiti all over the city. F the police. All cops are bastards. All cops are bitches. Still, that graffiti is up in the city.
He said the B
Where
word.
was Curtis Sliwa? I was out in the streets with the Guardian Angels.
He
When
said
Bill
the
de
B
Blasio,
word.
your partner, your teammate in that summer, was telling the cops to stand down. And Chief of Patrol, Pachado, said, no, 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 and quit. I stood with Pachado. You stood with de Blasio. I went into the streets. I got a broken jaw fighting off the looters and shooters with the Guardian Angels. We were the only people standing up to the mob. Where were you, Eric Adams? What were you doing? Were you defending the police then? The answer is not. You didn't defend the police at all. You abandoned them. I will never abandon the police department.
Do you want to respond to that, Mr. Adams?
Well, no, I do not, because the record is clear.
Wow.
Everyone knows the position I took around anyone that did anything inappropriate. Everyone knows the op-ed I signed on.
Everyone
Everyone
knows.
knows how I stood against violence. My record is clear. 35 uninterrupted years on fighting on behalf of New Yorkers. I'm proud of that, and everyone in this city is aware of that.
He's so fake.
Let me
Look
let's
at
move on
that
to the
fake
economy,
response.
because a lot of people are interested in that. This pandemic has caused a recession, and we're still trying to climb out of it. New York City's budget, about $99 billion. That's bigger than the budgets of all but 4 of the states in the United States. The city cannot, of course, rely on federal bailouts to reopen all those closed storefronts that plague the city. We'll start with Mr. Sliwa. What's your strategy? Do you intend to raise taxes, and which ones? And if you have to cut the city's budget, what would be cut?
First and foremost, Thrive. A non-existent mental health program devised by, again, your teammate, Bill de Blasio. You never criticized him or his wife. $1.25 billion spent in 5 years. We've seen no results. That program gets disbanded. It will not continue when I'm mayor. The Department of Education, $33 billion. And the teachers are not seeing the money. Teachers have to reach into their pockets to pay for supplies of children. There is total bureaucratic control at the Department of Education. Nobody seems to know what these overpaid bureaucrats do. Give more control to the principals, more control to the teachers who are taking care of our most precious gift, the children of our city. And I would like you right now acknowledge that you would disband Thrive if you happen to be elected mayor of the city of New York, because you've never criticized it because it was the program of Bill de Blasio and his wife.
I want to get this right. This one statement you made. You're saying you would cut the Department of Education budget, the public school budget?
Oh, I would filter the money that they waste at the top into the classrooms for the teachers, for the principals, to educate the children, because most of that money gets spent in the bureaucracy, swallowed up into that vortex.
Mr. Adams, the same question to you. You know how tough it is out there. What would you do if you had to cut the budget in New York City, and would you raise taxes?
You know, and when you think about the budget, I say do the same thing we ask everyday
Look
New
at that
Yorkers
smile,
to do.
yep.
Spend what you take in. When you look at the outer years, 2022, 23, 2023, 20, and 24, we're looking at potentially an average of $4 billion each year. We failed to look at the resources that we receive from the federal government. We had cost savings of only 44%. 38% came from our reserve fund, and 18% came from the federal government. That's not sustainable. So what do I do? And here's my plan. Number one, we're going to say to every agency, 3 to 5% pay cuts across the board. No layoffs, because we're not going to impact those low-income employees in civil service. 2, let's go after the families and help them. Universal child care to get our families working and able to be employed. Build our economy. We're too bureaucratic, too expensive, and too difficult to do business in. We can turn around this economy.
Same Democratic
by,
talking
number one,
points.
looking after the families, getting them employed, and number 2, have a more efficient government. We're not doing that.
Thank you. Let me ask you both a question. Simple question. People are interested in this. Come January 1st, we're going to be the highest taxed state in the country, between all the taxes, between the city and the state. A lot of people want me to ask this question. Are you, with a show of hands, are you pledging not to raise taxes if you're elected mayor?
I'm in fact pledging to reduce taxes. You know how? No congestion pricing, which will crush the middle class coming in from Staten Island, Brooklyn.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
And get rid of the speed cameras.
All right.
That's
Thank you, Mr. Sliwa. We're going to talk about that in a few seconds. I do want to turn this out around a bit. You've been asking
Get rid of
questions,
those cameras,
you asked
please.
him several questions already, but you do take questions during this campaign. That's part of campaigning, and we appreciate the public service you all are doing for running for office. It is not easy. We all know that, and we respect you for that. We want to turn it around a little bit. I'd like to have each of you ask a question of the other person. Anything you want. Mr. Sliwa, you can ask Mr. Adams a question about anything. And you have a minute to answer, Mr. Adams, and vice versa.
Eric Adams, I make many campaign stops a day amongst Republicans. Bill Ritter, I just have to offer just a correction. I am the Republican candidate, but also the independent party candidate that many people will vote for me for mayor on.
My mistake. I'm sorry.
All right. And when I'm talking to these groups, I tell them, and if the voters determine that Eric Adams should be the mayor of the city of New York, I will give you my total support, because we need to save this city from the brink of fiscal collapse and crime. Would you return the same sentiment if the voters elect me the next mayor? Would you give me your full support?
I do not support human beings. I support the position. When you wear a bulletproof vest, Curtis, you protect the children and families of this city. You protect the positions that goes with it. And I'm always going to protect this city, This is a city that I love, and I'm not going to see it unravel and be irresponsible. So whomever is the mayor of this city or any
It's
of the
either
elected
you or him,
officials,
you idiot.
I'm going to be there and show them the necessary support that they deserve. We're in this together, New York, and I'm going to be there for you.
He didn't answer.
Support me in the effort to save our city from your friend, your partner, Bill de Blasio, who single-handedly has destroyed this city that we love with your help.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Adams, you can ask Mr. Sliwa any question
Yep.
you want.
Let's see if he
My
looks at
goal
him.
today is to speak to the voters, and there is not one question I have for Curtis. I want to spend every opportunity talking to the voters of the city of New York and
What a
give them my
fake.
plan. A term
Wow,
I use so often
respect.
that he does not use because I have a plan and he does not.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next
With no
round.
respect.
And
Did you truly even look at him?
Going forward, we're looking at the time. It's almost 7:30. We want to get in a lot more questions. We're going to limit the answers to 45 seconds, if that's all right. We're going to start with
It's been
Dave
fast and
Evans.
furious so far.
Mr. Adams, let's turn to the situation at Rikers Island and the mess there. This year, we have seen 14 people die at Rikers and in the custody of the Department of Corrections. My question is, do you still support the borough-based plan to replace Rikers? And right now, I don't think Rikers is going to close until 2026, 2027. So do you support the plan to replace it with smaller borough-based jails? And is there any way that you can get this awful mess at Rikers closed sooner than 2026?
Thank you. That's such an important question. And you're right. It is a mess. And I was there over a month ago, approximately. I was able to visit, and many of my colleagues followed after that. And I saw firsthand what is the problem there. And so here's my plan. Number one, we must use technology to expedite the cases. The bottleneck in our court system is hurting us. Number two, services. We need to look after the services for those who are dealing with mental health illnesses and something simple as recreation. You can't cage people all day. Number three, also the correction officers. We must create an environment where the inmates and the correction officers are not assaulted. I take my hat off to the district attorney in the Bronx who has been prosecuting those cases. And lastly, it's imperative that we make sure that the everyday people at Rikers Island and visitors have real interactions with their families.
But are we stuck with 2026? Are we stuck that
Yes,
it can't be closed soon?
I'm still on path with the closing of Rikers and having borough-based jails. I think that's the right thing to do and reimagine how we use Rikers Island.
Borough-based jails?
Mr. Sliwa, you don't think that Rikers should close?
Now, in fact, if you elect my opponent, you will have a community jail in your neighborhood. That's a guarantee. Not with me. I've been on Rikers Island. Yes, I know what it's like to be on Rikers Island. And the correctional officers are under attack, especially the women, who are the largest minority now. People of color, they're getting sexually assaulted, sexually harassed. Men are masturbating in front of them. There's no discipline, no solitary confinement. And the Bronx DA has done nothing to protect the correctional officers who are under attack. You can knock down 4 of the units. You can rehab the other 4. Get the emotionally disturbed inmates off of Rikers Island and send them to Kirby Psychiatric, the state facility on Randall's Island, or Creedmoor, Northern Queens, where they can get mental health attention and their medicine. And then their cases can be adjudicated and break up the gangs that control Rikers Island.
Thank you.
The Bloods and the Crips who are housed together.
Thank you,
In
Mr.
fact, if
Sliwa.
you're mayor, Eric Adams will probably meet with the Bloods when they take over Rikers
Mr.
Island
Sliwa, thank you.
officially and sit down with them and treat them as equal partners.
Let's try to keep to the time, please, gentlemen. David?
I
You gotta
think we
get
can
the-
go on to Mariella.
Okay, Mariella.
You got to get the
Talk about
shots
weather. I'll
in.
start with you, Mr. Sliwa. In days like today with heavy rain, there is a serious concern about flooding in illegal basement apartments. As you know, they affect minority communities more than most. At least 11 people die from Ida in basement apartments. The city has an estimated 50,000 illegal units. So would you shut them down if you were elected? And where will you put the people that live there? We're talking about 100,000 residents that live currently in those settings.
It's clear that illegally subdivided basements or illegally constructed apartments are the responsibility of the landlord, the superintendent, or the building manager. They are breaking the law and risking people's lives. That must be stopped, but we can't just kick people out. We have to find them housing. Some of these basement apartments can meet the specifications. Well, my opponent, Eric Adams, has that same problem. He claims to live in that basement apartment on Lafayette and Bed-Stuy. The Department of Buildings has put up notices, Eric. I don't know. You haven't taken them off the door. That says that you have built an illegal
Mr. Sliwa,
subdivided
sticking to the
basement
question,
apartment that you
Mr.
claim to live
Sliwa.
in. Why not answer the
Mr.
Department
Sliwa,
of Buildings
sticking to the question then.
orders to you to stop and desist?
Sir, would you shut them down then? Would you shut them down then? Those
Eventually, yes, but first find the landlords and the people responsible for housing these people in inhumane conditions.
Mr. Adams, what would be your plan to deal with the situation, these basement units where so many people live right now?
Thank you for that question. That's a real issue and a real question. And living on the verge of homelessness, uncertainty of knowing where you are, over 100,000 children
Doesn't answer it.
Insecure. Right now in this city, we need to do the right things for these families. And here's my plan.
What
to
is
do
it?
so? Number one, no, I would not displace them and further aggravate our housing crisis. We need to deal with the immediate concerns with storms and use GIS mapping to identify those locations where those apartments are, that have proper notification during storms. Then we need to partner with the Department of Buildings, FDNY, to legalize these apartments. There's a great initiative to do so. I will lean further into that to make sure we could do so. I would not displace families without understanding the complexities of aggravating our housing crisis we have right now.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Would you go after
Mr.
the
Sliwa.
Dracula landlords who put these people in peril? Would you lock them up? Would you fine them, Eric Adams? No, because they're your supporters.
All right, thank you, guys. Let's continue with that. Basement apartments, of course, is one issue in the fight against climate change. But the last two mayors we've had, Bloomberg and de Blasio, have broached plans to deal with New York City's unique vulnerability to rising waters. They even talked about putting up a wall around Lower Manhattan. What specifically would you do to protect this city against rising waters and other effects of climate change? We're going to begin with Mr. Adams.
I was out there, Bill, during the last storm, not the one we had last night. I was actually out last night. I guess that's the police in me. I'm always out trying to figure out how we could help folks. So
this guy is fake, man. Shut up.
It was not high tides. We need to be clear on that. It was rain. And so you can't put a Band-Aid on the crises that we created. So specifically, number one, let's use our capital dollars. This is an opportunity to have one solution, a multitude of problems. A major green infrastructure deal to do some of the things that I saw in Hoboken, where they built retaining water, pools to catch water over, put basketball courts on top of them. Let's make sure that we have a proper notification system in place, and let's also build those walls to keep water out at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr.
Build the walls.
I'm glad you brought up the seawall, not just for Lower Manhattan, the Battery, and the financial district. Not one brick, no mortar has been laid. We got all the money after Superstorm Sandy in 2012. Haven't spent a penny to actually build a wall. And on Staten Island, from the Verrazano Bridge, as you go along the East Shore, it's supposed to be 5.5 miles. That whole area was underwater. Not one brick, no mortar. People don't trust politicians because they never built those seawalls. I don't trust politicians because they get the money and then they don't spend it. Those walls need to go up because another Superstorm Sandy is on its way. As mayor, I promise you, residents of Staten Island and those of you in the Battery and in the financial district, the wall will be constructed as the money was given to us by the federal government to do, and our local officials have done nothing.
So you will build that wall. Thank you, Mr.
Absolutely.
David?
Build the wall.
Mr. Sliwa, let's turn to the issue of homelessness. In the last few years, I think it's fair to say it's become a crisis in New York. My question is, for those of us who our heart goes out to these people, what do you do about that? And on the other hand, many, many New Yorkers don't want to see them camping out on our streets. What do you do?
Well, all you got to do, Dave, is look at my track record working with the emotionally disturbed and the homeless for 42 years as leader of the Guardian Angels. We've been out in the streets tending to their needs, getting them food and clothing, these lost souls. And the answer of de Blasio and his horrible director of homeless services, Stephen Banks, Then my opponent, Eric Adams, said, oh, he's doing an excellent job. I would keep him on if I'm elected mayor. 80 shelters shoved into neighborhoods, no transparency, no services for the homeless. They have to get in by 10 o'clock at night. They're kicked out the door. They cause all kinds of problems as a result. We are not compassionate. We are not caring. I would like you, Eric Adams, to condemn your partner and your teammate, Bill de Blasio, for the worst of the many worst programs he's conducted. And please say you're not going to hire Steve Banks if you're lucky enough to get elected mayor.
Mr. Adams, what's your plan?
A real issue, and
He doesn't even look at
these
him.
are our neighbors. These are our former residents that live next to us, and there is a level of compassion that comes with it. And so here's my plan. Number one, we have 25,000 potential apartments we can build, permanent apartments, not homeless shelters in our outer boroughs and those hotels that we can retrofit. Number two, we have to stop the homeless crisis by ensuring we do housing subsidies for those children and families that are being displaced from their homes. Number three, we need the judges to use Kendra's law appropriately for those who can't take care of themselves. That's the street homelessness. And then let's partner our police with mental health professionals so we don't have homeless in our subway system. And there's nothing dignified about sleeping on the streets. Build trust, invest in programs like Fountain House, and we can turn this homeless crisis around.
As a follow-up, Mr. Adams, you mentioned the 25,000 units, hotels, and you mentioned in the outer boroughs. But why shouldn't Manhattan have to share in that?
No, then they should. Now, remember, I'm not saying these are going to be shelters. We need to be clear on that. It's permanent housing. The hotel and our tourism is going to return faster in the outer borough, in the Manhattan's business district. When you go to the outer boroughs, you're watching hotels that are boarded up.
I'm doing sign language in
Many of them were
Spanish.
built to be shelters. We have to get out of the shelter business and get in the business of giving people permanent housing. Congregate housing shelters are no good. That's too much waste of taxpayers' dollars. We're moving into building permanent housing in the city.
Mr. Sliwa,
Excuse me, Eric. There are empty hotels in Manhattan, some that are boarded up. The only time you come to Manhattan of late is to go to this Eurobond club late at night, that private club where you get wine, dined, and pocket line. By a lot of these people who own those hotels. You're going to stick more homeless people in Staten Island, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx, and exempt Manhattan? Come on, that's technology, Eric. We know what the deal is. You even said those hotels in the outer boroughs were built to be shelters. You deny saying that, Eric? You deny it?
Curtis
You
Sliwa.
said it.
New York's
Come
last
on, don't
chance.
use any technology here. I'm too street smart for that.
I say over and over again, we don't have to respond to that. My record is clear on finding housing, and I had one of the greatest housing booms in my borough, and the money we allocated. My record is extremely clear around these.
My record
to
is the guy, yo.
Yes, has to do with immigration. Mr. Adams, for you, right now, an estimated 600,000 people living in New York City are classified as legal non-U.S.
Legal
citizens.
Latino.
They are immigrants who are here legally. But
Legal
they can vote in
Latino.
elections. So right now, there's a proposal in City Council to allow them to vote in local elections. Would you allow that, sir?
No.
I think it's so important to have those documented New Yorkers' green card should have the right to participate in local elections.
No.
My understanding, the law department states that the state must carry that out. That's not going to be the power among the city council or our city. And so hopefully the state lawmakers will look at that and make a determination what's the best thing for the city.
Mr. Sliwa, would you support that?
No.
Giving the right to vote to those
One of the
legal
main supporters
residents?
of Eric Adams' candidacy is Ydanis Rodriguez, councilman of Washington Heights, who has a green card, which means he's been able to bring his family here. He is able to tap into all the benefits available to citizens.
Wow.
The only thing you can't do with a green card is vote. It's a privilege. Or if you have a work visa, I would maintain it as it is.
Yeah.
If you want to be able to vote, Ydanis Rodriguez and those with green cards could become citizens. They just have to take the test, but they choose not to want to be citizens. You have to ask yourself, why, after all this time, would Ydanis Rodriguez not want to be a citizen of the United States?
So, sir, the
but
answer,
simply a green
is
card
you
holder?
would not give them the
No
right to
privilege
vote
to vote.
in local elections. These are local elections.
No.
You would not give them the right to
No.
vote.
No privilege. No, that's a privilege
Thank
for
you very
American
much.
citizens.
Good
Gentlemen, I
job.
want to ask you about the current mayor. Mayor de Blasio has been in office for nearly 7 years and 10 months. Direct questions. What do you think have been his biggest successes, his biggest failures? And if you were a teacher, what grade would you give him? Let's start with Mr. Sliwa.
F.
Yes, sir.
Is there a grade below D minus? F. The guy has been a miserable failure. He has single-handedly taken a Miley Cyrus wrecking ball to the city that we love. When he marches in the
Here we
streets,
go.
he gets booed. When he goes to Prospect Park for 2 hours a day to basically walk around with his own fellow residents from Park Slope, very liberal and progressive, were booing him, catcalling him. So where did he retreat to? Greenwood, the cemetery nearby.
I just want to make it clear. What is his biggest success and what's his biggest failure?
Best success pre-K, right out of the box. I was a supporter of that. After that, it's been all downhill. I can't wait till he leaves us and goes back to Cambridge because he has destroyed this city.
Thank you,
and he's been your partner.
Mr. Adams.
You partnered up with him, Eric Adams, for 8 years.
Mr.
You've been
Adams,
a part of that.
What grade would you
Shout
give
out to
him after,
Rational Times going live
nearly
next.
7 years and 10 months. And what's his biggest
Rational
success
Times
and
goes
biggest-
live next 8 o'clock. Check them out.
Well, knowing how important education is, I say this all the time. If you don't educate, you'll incarcerate. What he has done with pre-K and 3K laid the groundwork of what I would like to build on, because I believe education is pregnancy through profession. I think that was a real success. And I will also look at the municipal ID program. Many people were not accessing services because they did not have proper identification. If I were to look at where I believe we could have done better, clearly homelessness. I believe we could have done a better job with homelessness and finding inefficiencies in our agencies. Cities are based on the success of agencies with 2 silos. We're hemorrhaging too much money, and I want to turn that around. I would give him a B+ as a grade.
B+?
Did you say B+?
We have a B+ and an F. Thank you,
That's
gentlemen.
social promotion at its worst.
Thank you, Mr.
You're a
Sliwa.
disaster, and you've been his
Dave-
partner. You've been his teammate.
Dave Evans,
Let's
you
talk
have-
about in Brooklyn.
Thank you, Mr.
Let's
Sliwa.
talk about congestion pricing. And
B+.
I wanted to start with Mr. Adams, if I could. We learned with recent MTA
What an
hearings
idiot.
that the price of driving south of 60th
Oh,
Street
B+.
is going to be anywhere from $9
This
to $35
idiot.
if by chance you don't have an Easy Pass. Do you accept that simply as the cost of driving south of 60th?
Congestion pricing is crucial for
No.
our city, not only
Oh
to
my
deal with
gosh.
the environmental crises that we're facing, but
Oh,
also
no.
how do we put more money into our subway system and into our bus system? So I believe, yes, I'm a supporter of congestion pricing. We should have waivers for certain circumstances, but if you are
No.
driving alone and you're the only person in the car, you're coming from Connecticut, New Jersey on our roads, I believe that you should be paying for congestion pricing. And I think we can encourage people to use our public transportation system, our buses, and our trains. And that's why I support it, to put the resources in our city.
Oh.
Mr. Sliwa, you certainly don't.
That's a tax against all those who live in the outer boroughs and north of 60th Street. And by the way, Eric Adams, you want to improve mass transit in the city, subways and buses? How about stopping fare evasion? All the money that's not being paid to take the fare. And by the way, Eric Adams proposed free fare for subways and buses. Eric, how would you possibly financially support free fare for subways and buses when the system can't even support itself? It's hemorrhaging money because you don't want to stop, ticket, or arrest fare evaders.
Check out Irrational Times going live in 15 minutes.
Free fare, right, for the
Irrational
subways and
Times goes live
Mr.
next.
Sliwa, we'll
Check
continue
them
with
out. Check
taxi
them out.
driver, sir. A question for you right now. As you know, they have taken a huge hit during the pandemic. An industry already crippled with app-based ride-sharing competition. Medallion owners right now are protesting with a hunger strike, demanding more debt relief. They don't think that the current plan from City Hall to give drivers 29,000 loans, free interest loans, are enough. What is your plan to help them? They're protesting right now as we speak.
Oh, an hour and
Video
15 minutes?
cams
All right, cool,
are
cool. So I
outside
got
of City
time
Hall as we
after the
speak,
show. All right,
on
cool.
hunger strike.
Check out Irrational
I have
Times.
spoken to
Subscribe.
them. They wonder where you've been, Eric Adams. I guess with all your travels, you haven't had a chance to talk to them. But I will tell you this. You have to bifurcate this. There are the oligarchs, the Russian and Ukrainian oligarchs who own dozens of medallions. You don't bail them out. and your newfound friend, Michael Cohen. That's right. You know, you were going to meet him.
So what will be your plan,
So
sir?
he has dozens of medallions. No to them, and sit down with the individual owners and operators with the medallions and see how we can make them whole. That's what I would do as mayor. But no to the oligarchs who have destroyed the yellow cab industry.
Mr. Adams, your plan to help taxi drivers right now in desperate need. Some of them have $40,000 in loans, in debt.
Thank you. And the comment of my opponent, that's a far cry from last debate when he just basically wanted to devastate all of these hardworking men and women who have invested everything they had into those medallions. We were wrong as a city in what we did. We need to look at those everyday men and women who are the smaller owners of those medallions. No, we don't bail out those who turn this problem into the reality that we're facing, but we cannot ignore those everyday hardworking men and women that thought they were buying into an American dream for it to turn into a nightmare. I'm going to be there for them, and we will find a solution to this problem.
Taxpayers will pay for that, correct? Is that what you're suggesting, yes?
For those smaller medallion owners, not for the large individuals, the smaller medallion owners.
You both agree on something a little bit.
Well, yeah.
Both agreeing there.
What about your
came around
newfound
to
friend,
agree.
Michael Cohen? You were going to meet with him and Kanye West. Michael Cohen owns quite a few medallions. Did you know that, Eric?
Let me talk about something else that's sprung up in the city that is some people think it's fantastic and is exciting, and other people say it could be problematic. Talking about outdoor dining, it has sparked excitement, yes, but some say it's also an unsafe condition on the streets. Bike lanes intersecting with waiters trying to serve food and cutting off an entire lane of traffic, which has caused some problems. And some people sitting with plywood between them and oncoming cars. If you're elected, Mr. Adams, we're going to start with you. If you're elected, would you keep outdoor dining?
No.
Yes, I would. I would keep outdoor dining. I think it brings a great energy when I speak with my restaurant owners that I patronize and
I hate it.
make sure they keep their doors open to hire cooks, dishwashers, and those who are low-skilled employees.
Low skill.
They say to me that helped them survive COVID. Now, do we need to reevaluate? Do we need to look at the structures, make sure they are safe? Do we need to look at how we use sidewalk spaces? There's a different way to do it, but I would definitely encourage, we have to allow our restaurants to get up and operating. They're the bellwether.
Yo, what's up, man? It's Militia. Long time no see.
Economy for our city, and I'm in support of it.
Mr. Sliwa, do you keep outdoor dining?
Bill, I look at some of these Quonset huts, these airplane hangars.
Man named Militia cheeseburger hobo chili recipe. Where's cheeseburger at?
That have become shooting galleries where people with drugs are actually shooting up in their neck. They've got to go. And by the way, the reason that so many of the bars and restaurant owners need them is because of the vaccine passport. The ridiculousness that I have to show a vaccine passport to go indoors at a restaurant and then personal ID. I just went to vote with my wife, Nancy, on Saturday. You didn't have to show a vaccine passport. You didn't have to show an ID. But to get a cheeseburger and fries, you got to show a vaccine passport and ID. That is crazy. And as a result, diners end up going to New Jersey, Westchester, Connecticut, Long Island, where they don't have to show a vaccine passport or ID.
Okay, thank you.
Is the air different, Bill? Is the air different in New York City than it is in the tri-state area? This is ridiculous.
All right. Let's move to the next round. David, you've got the question.
Mr. Sliwa, we have found since the pandemic began that more and more people are biking than ever before in New York City. Yet you have talked about eliminating bike lanes. Why?
Well, not eliminate. Basically, look at them. Many of these bike lanes have been up a year or more. If you use it, you keep it. Many people have used the bicycle lanes well. But there are vast areas of our city, especially in the southern ends when you go into Brooklyn and Queens and northern Bronx and most of Staten Island, where they haven't used it at all.
But that would be eliminated. Why not promote in those areas?
Well, they have been promoted. They're just not using it. So you take it back. But I can understand why Eric Adams would want to be riding his bicycles when you have 14 reckless endangerment tickets for speeding through school zones. Maybe, Eric, it's better if you just stay on your bicycle and get away from behind the wheel. So I promote you bicycling and not driving a car, because normally under those circumstances, they seize your vehicle, which is recently what you said. They should seize vehicles.
Mr. Adams, you have the bed. I'm an avid rider. I enjoy riding. I think it's so important. I always say one solution should solve a multitude of problems. I would promote bike usage. I would do it with my elders like we did at Restoration Plaza. I would encourage young people to ride their bikes to and from schools because it could help with childhood obesity by doing exercises. And yes, I would make sure that we have proper enforcement so that people are not creating a dangerous environment by using their bikes. But I believe we need to find alternative methods of moving around the city, and biking is one of them. It's enjoyable. I enjoy it.
So you get hit by a car.
Continue to expand it in our city.
We are running out of time. We want to give you 1 minute of closing arguments, so I have a couple quick questions for you. First, this has been not a great campaign. I assume you're not going to send each other holiday cards come December. Could you say something nice about your opponent? And let's start with Mr. Adams.
The cats. I take my hat off to Curtis, what he's doing with cats. I think we need to be humane to all living beings, and that's include our animals. And as a person that believes it's important that we show compassion to each other and to our animals. And so I commend him for what he's doing around cats.
Mr.
Sliwa, you have the opportunity.
I commend Eric, who I've known for years. I had a much friendlier time between the both of us. And his promotion of the vegan way of life to avoid serious medical issues has probably already helped dozens, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of people. So I applaud you for that, because I have seen the results of people who end up dying and suffering and in pain because they get caught with all kinds of problems, diabetes, high blood pressure, high tension. As someone who has been in a hospital many, many times, I hope one day to be a vegan. I'm working on my way. My wife, Nancy, is getting me there, Erica. I'm like at the vegetarian stage.
It's very nice to see one thing, and also be gentle and kind to each other. I appreciate that. Quick question. Are there any commissioners or anyone else in the administration of Mr. de Blasio you would like to keep if you were elected mayor? Mr. Sliwa, you have that first.
Absolutely not. Clean sweep. Out they go. They're fired because they are de Blasioites.
Mr. Adams.
We're going to do a real evaluation. And I say this over and over again, a term that's never used. It's about making sure that we have people who love the city, emotionally intelligent, and have great ideas. And so institutional knowledge has a role, but we're going to take an analysis of everyone that's in government.
Okay. Also, what would surprise people? And again, about 15 seconds for each answer. What would surprise people most about you? Mr. Adams, you start first.
I watch 5 Heartbeats all the time, and I cry every time at the end of the movie. I'm just a softie when it comes down to movies.
Mr. Sliwa.
Electronic dance music. I'm 67 years. I love electronic dance music. It is my mood elevator. I listen to it as soon as I get back from the subways and the streets and campaigning. EDM, electronic dance music.
Your top priority, one single top priority, if you got elected, 10 seconds each. Mr. Sliwa.
Be able to choose.
Yeah, that's what it was, Shake Some. Yep.
Who is from the department, not outside the department, and interview Latinos and Latinas who never get interviewed for that position.
Mr. Adams.
Public safety and justice, that's the prerequisite to prosperity. Public safety and justice. We have to be safe in our city.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. It is time now for closing statements. You each have 1 minute. And by the rules, we begin with Mr. Sliwa.
Ustedes me conocen. That means you know me for 42 years. And what I will bring to City Hall is compassion and caring, which has not existed from either of the political parties. And as Eric had mentioned, I am the first candidate to say, when elected, there will be no kill shelters. We're not killing any dogs or cats or animals again. It was Mahatma Gandhi who said, a society that does not take care of its animals does not take care of its people. Look at the emotionally disturbed. Look at the homeless. We've got to show compassion and caring and void out what de Blasio has done. And I only would have wished you would have used your bully pulpit, Eric, to criticize Thrive and all these other programs that have done nothing but make the problems worse. I guarantee you, I swear on my parents' grave, I will not forsake these lost souls or the animals in our community. We will no longer kill them in our shelters.
Okay, Mr. Adams, you have a minute.
Thank you, New Yorkers. This has been an amazing experience. I am the symbol of the American dream. The only country on the globe where dream is attached to our name. No other country. And when I think about overcoming poverty, overcoming injustices,
Race
become
card.
a police officer, a state senator, and now I'm the Brooklyn Borough president. I know and you know that far too many people leave the nightmarish realities of somewhere else and come here to experience that American dream. Only place you could have $1 in your pocket and then own banks. Only place where you could not understand the language and open English-speaking schools all over. Only place where you could work in the mailroom and then run for mayor. I want the dreams, those 10 million dreams that are ready to wake up, to know, just as my dream is becoming a reality, I want yours to become a reality. This is the greatest city and the greatest country.
Okay, Obama.
And I know what we can do. The way goes New York goes America. The way goes America goes the globe. Thank you so much.
And thank you, gentlemen, for your closing arguments. Thank you for running. It is not easy to do. It's not easy to open yourself up to
What's
public
up?
scrutiny, but you have
Be
both done that,
smiling.
and we appreciate that. And on that note, that's going to end the final debate in the race for mayor of New York City. Candidates, we do, again, thank you for your participation. And to our viewers, thank you, because you too are trying to find out information about these two candidates. And we hope we have been a little helpful in that effort. In fact, a lot helpful, hopefully. Either way, we urge you to vote on November 2nd. It is your right and your responsibility. Early voting, of course, already started, continues until Sunday. You can find more information about voting on the Campaign Finance Board's website. To our sponsors, to all of them, thank you for your input and your commitment to improving the city.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the
David
mayoral
Evans.
debate, New York City. You guys know I'm from New York City. I have a lot of connection with New York City, so I have my eye on that. If Curtis Sliwa wins, which is a long shot, it would be the only way I'll ever return to New York City. That's if it's Curtis Sliwa wins. But New York City is long gone. You guys, if you catch me on the morning show, check out Irrational Times is going live soon next. I'm only going to be live for a few minutes. I got to give it to Curtis Sliwa. He did his thing in this debate better than the first one. I think the first one he was a little bit nervous. He tried to be too political. He got attacked and he didn't know how to act. This one, he was ready for the attacks. He apologized. He attacked Eric Adams. This is his last chance. You only got a week left. Curtis did a great job in this debate. Eric Adams was smiling, being robotic. Eric Adams, he just kept looking straight at the camera like he was looking at a teleprompter. He's like, all right, I just got to get through this. He was probably looking at the clock, counting down to, all right, 56 minutes, 52 minutes, 47, 37, 22, 15 minutes left, 8 minutes left. He was just looking straight, smiling. Curtis was talking. Maybe he wasn't listening. Maybe he genuinely did laugh. But you saw Eric Adams laughing a lot. I don't know. Maybe he's like one of those Kamala nervous laughs. But Eric Adams was very political. Like they trained him. I think the past 6 months, Eric Adams didn't do any campaigning. He wasn't anywhere. But he was probably like in a camp somewhere, just learning how to be a politician, going through a school. Hey, when your opponent attacks, keep attacking Curtis on him doing that crime. He faked the crime. He faked the crime. Back in the 90s. So, but they always find that one little mistake and they keep attacking you on it, Like the movie Wag the Dog, we talked about that. That's what the Democrats, the playbook. Eric Adams using the playbook. Smile. I'm here to talk to you, the people. You're the people. I'm here for the people. Eric Adams, you come off as fake. I'm a New Yorker. You came off as fake. Yeah, Curtis Sliwa is not polished. Curtis Sliwa is not, yes. No, he's just a regular New Yorker. He's been in the streets. He's been shot. He's been on the radio. I've listened to him. Curtis Lee was the only reason I listened to the radio. Back when he was on Apple, which one is a Big Apple, Red FM? So New York City, ladies and gentlemen, I always play when I called. I got to talk to Curtis Lee. I never got to meet him. I wish I got to meet him. But I did call in on his the last time he had a show. The last time he had a show, I called in to insult Julia Huddy. So I'll play that one real quick just to show you guys, and then I'll get back to my final thoughts on this and what's going on in New York City. Who do you guys start? If those of you that watched the debate, who do you think won, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the chat, Curtis or Eric Adams. Yes, WABC. Curtis Sliwa was in the McDonald's on Fordham Road. Curtis Sliwa is New York City. Curtis Sliwa has always been New York on the radio. Curtis and Kubi. I mean, this guy. hey, I don't work for Foot Locker. I work for WWE. Of WABC. So he was on the radio with Juliet Huddy. I used to listen to the Julia Huddy and Curtis Sliwa show, but Julia Huddy pissed me off. But I still listened to it because of Curtis. And then they moved her to the morning show, and then I stopped listening altogether. So I just want to play you this, ladies and gentlemen, real quick. When I called in to the WABC.
New York, and I just don't like it as much out here.
That was your 15.
New York, and I just don't like it as much out here. But I just want to say you're wonderful. I don't know how you tolerate that Juliet. She is an unbelievable fraud.
That was your 15. Meantime, let's go to Rob.
I thought you were going to just cut it off just because she was insulting me and we're, colleagues. Maybe that's what a colleague should do for you.
No, let's face it. People have insulted me. They insult you. They get their 15 seconds and we move on to the next.
All right.
Let's
Dave,
go to Rob.
Chad.
Rob in the Bronx. Your turn to be heard here at WABC. Rob?
First time caller, long time listener. Love you, Curtis 2021. I'm actually Legal Latino Heat from Twitter and YouTube. Julia Huddy blocked me. I had to call in today. Julia Huddy, you off the rails today. Pissing at.
That was your 15
Cut
seconds.
me off
Let's go
right
to
there.
Tony, who's calling from Brooklyn.
Cut me off.
First time caller, long time.
WABC, Rob?
First time caller, long time listener. Love you, Curtis 2021. I'm actually Legal Latino Heat from Twitter and YouTube. Julia Huddy blocked me. I had to call in today. Julia Huddy, you off the rails today. Pissing at.
That was your 15 seconds. Let's go to Tony.
So that's the closest I got into Curtis Sliwa. So, hey, what's up, Andrew Audio? So I wanted to show that Curtis Sliwa is a real New York. I got the plug. I want to get that plug in. Maybe I'll put it on the intro or something. So I just wanted to get that plug in. I call in radio shows. I like to troll. So my first time calling, and I got through. I was lucky. Calling a radio station is hard, especially in New York City. But that was one of the last shows that Curtis Sliwa had at WABC. So I'm glad I was able to record it off the Alexa. It was a good moment. I'm glad I was able to do that. I'm happy. I got to do it. Sometimes in life, ladies and gentlemen, you just got to do something. You got to seize that moment, capture it. So they opened the phone lines. I called in and I got through. You never know. So today's debate, I got to give it to Curtis Sliwa. Hopefully, enough New Yorkers see that. Hopefully, the news doesn't lie. You saw Eric Adams laughing with Curtis Sliwa. Maybe he genuinely was laughing, or he was just laughing like, oh, look at this idiot. Even the moderator was laughing at Curtis because Curtis, he's genuine. He's like this old guy. He's like, hey, you want to take him play some bocce? Go play some pool with Curtis. You want to hang out with Curtis. Eric Adams, do you really want to hang out with Eric Adams? Eric Adams seems to be the type that hangs out with you if you have money. That's the only way Eric Adams. You're welcome, Allison. I appreciate that. Eric Adams is the type that he only hangs out with you if you have money and you're paying. Because that's what Eric Adams has been doing the past few months. Eric Adams knows he has his election in the bag. The way he acts. It's already known fact that Eric Adams is going to win. 7 Democrats to 1 Republicans the way in New York City goes. So Eric Adams knows he's going to win. He shows no respect to Curtis. He's just doing the debates. He's going through the motions. You saw on the debate earlier, Eric Adams just looked forward. I'm telling you, he was either looking at a teleprompter, which I know he wasn't, but he was looking at the clock. And I'm pretty sure they have a clock in front that starts at 60 minutes and it counts down. Eric Adams just kept looking at that clock. When Curtis was talking, he just smiled. Maybe they told him, "Hey, smile more, smile a lot, look, look good." Eric Adams, he's a mooch. There you go. That's right. He's a mooch. If you're not paying for dinner, Eric Adams is not gonna be. He's not gonna go out there and hang out with you. That's the way. That's the way Eric Adams is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the kind of person Eric Adams is. Curtis Sliwa kept it real. I'm glad he took shots at him. Where do you live? You say you live in the Brooklyn. The borough that you're from has a lot of crime. I don't like Brooklyn. Brooklyn, East New York, is dangerous. It's dangerous out there. So, yep, he's been trained. That's what I think. Eric Adams, for the past 6 months, he's been in a camp somewhere or in a school for 6 months being trained by, by professionals, how to be a politician, how to debate. Because Curtis Sliwa attacked him and Eric Adams just laughed him off like he's Eddie Murphy. Yeah, you're right about that, Andrew Odell. Curtis Sliwa has no chance in New York City. I honestly, but you never know. You still got to pull for the underdog. You never know. Maybe he comes close. Maybe by like 3% or 2%. We never know. We'll see. We'll see. Yep, Adams lives in New York and New Jersey. That's why Curtis Sliwa attacked him on that. He was living in New York City. Yep. There was a lot of crazy there's a lot of mayor candidates going for New York City. We play them on the morning show. Tomorrow morning, ladies and gentlemen, I'll play all the other mayoral candidates. I'll play them for the morning show. I got my internet back. My internet's working. I clocked in at 800 megabytes. I hope you guys can see me clearly. The mic sounds good. Earlier this morning, my internet was. So I really appreciate you guys. So check me out in the morning show. I'm live every morning, live in the morning. We did Stacey Pressman. I'll do Stacey Pressman tomorrow morning. Let's see if they come on with some more videos from last week of the of the mayoral race. We'll check out some of those candidate videos. I'm very focused in New York, ladies and gentlemen. That's where I'm from. That's what I know the most. So I'm very invested in New York. Like Eric Adams says earlier, where New York goes, the world goes. So we really got to pay attention to New York City, because what New York City does, the rest of the world kind of follows. So even, some states might do different things. New York City kind of always leads the way. They want to be as progressive as possible. They even want to be more progressive than California or San Francisco. So New York City is that way. Vote Curtis Sliwa if you're in New York. It's your last chance. And listen, I said this: if they could cheat a presidential election, what makes you think they can't cheat a mayoral election? You saw how you could even vote with a green card. You can just show up and vote. People just probably show up to any valid place and vote. You never know. I don't know what happens. But that's New York City, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, you're welcome, Hillbilly Harry. You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. New York City, we got to pay attention to it. You saw what de Blasio did. He took a beautiful city like New York City. Yes, it's horrible, but New York City is beautiful. I hate it, but I love it. But you took something that was beautiful, a gem, and really destroyed it. It really brought it down. It makes me sad. But I root against New York. I really want to see New York do bad. Because in order for it to get better, you have to bring it down. Rents are too expensive. The subway system sucks. Crime. In order for change to happen, something drastic has to happen for bigger change to happen. So, that's why I left New York. Hopefully things, go down and then they get better. Maybe Curtis Sliwa wins. I don't know. We'll know. We'll see. Adams will be the second black mayor in New York City. Yep. He's running on a race card. He for the Republicans, for the white suburban, he said he's a cop. He pulls out the black card, the race card. He pulls out the cop card. He pulls out the different cards. He has them. Curtis Sliwa, like somebody mentioned earlier, is this white male. Has no chance. White people are evil. But if you listen to Curtis talks natural. Curtis Sliwa talks natural, like a regular New Yorker, like you're having a conversation with a regular person. Eric Adams. Try having a conversation with Eric Adams. Who I bet you I can have a conversation, Curtis Leo, about anything. We can start talking about whatever. We got Eric Adams. Hey, Eric Adams. Eric Adams is very, very, very fake, man. Very fake. You saw that right there, ladies and gentlemen, how fake Eric Adams was. Curtis Lewa attacked, jabbed. This is the last week. Election is next Tuesday. I'll cover a little bit more on the morning show tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 Central Time, ladies and gentlemen. Live Monday through Friday. Yours truly, every morning. We cover the news before it becomes news. 1 hour of your time early in the morning just to get you caught up on everything that's happening and what's going to happen throughout the day. Try to keep it as entertaining as possible, but also learning. This morning show, this is why I also did today's show, because this morning show, I had no internet. My internet was, but my internet is back, ladies and gentlemen. So, in conclusion, I'll give Curtis Sliwa the victory. Eric Adams said he gave de Blasio a B plus. Oh, I'm sorry. Eric Adams should have kept it real and said a C minus. Curtis Sliwa gave de Blasio an F. Eric Adams said a B plus to de Blasio. Like I said, de Blasio destroyed New York City. He finished it off. Horrible. De Blasio. New York City's unlivable. Traffic, speeding cameras everywhere, potholes everywhere. When it snows, when it rains, you're hitting potholes. Your car, you're getting flat tires. Oh, take public transportation. You got to wait an hour for a train, and then you're probably going to get stabbed. You're probably going to get punched in the face if you're taking the subway. A crazy George Floyd person from the community walks in and punches. This video of this person from the George Floyd community punching a white lady in the face. As a matter of fact, let me show you some of the videos that I have on my Instagram so that people don't think, oh, you're being racist. No, it's not being. Look, this is what goes on in New York City. You're out there having a pizza, and this is what you got to deal with in New York City. Two guys stabbing each other at a pizza shop. This is New York City. This is the way it is now. Look at that. You got to deal with two guys. What if you deal with your family having a slice of pizza and these two guys are stabbing each other? What if they stab one of your kids by mistake? What if they stab your grandma by mistake? What if they rob, like in Spider-Man, like Uncle Ben? This is what's going on in New York right now. So you could get killed in New York out of nowhere. This is what de Blasio has created in New York. Like, ladies and gentlemen, go to my Instagram, Legal Latino Heat on Instagram. And I post this stuff because it reminds me every day of why I left New York. This goes on too much in New York. Look at these shootouts. This is in the Bronx. Look at these shootouts. People just shooting each other. What if you're taking your kids to school, picking up your kids from school, and these idiots are just shooting each other, and one of those bullets hits one of your kids or hits you? Look at this. Look, what if you're parking your car here? Look, they just start shooting. Look at the kids right there where the stop sign. Look at the kids. What if the kids would have been walking 30 seconds earlier? They would have got shot by a straight bullet. See, look at the crime that goes on in New York. What if you're in that van right there making a delivery, one of those bullets hits you? You just got shot by doing your job. Wrong place at the wrong time. So this is New York City, ladies and gentlemen. This is New York City, ladies and gentlemen. Let me show you another one. Like this is the stuff that you got to deal with. What if this is your car parked, right? Your car is parked. That's you parked right there in that car. And look, that's your car right there in the black car. And look at this white car. You could be minding your business, and now you're in New York City. You have to deal with these crazy people. Look at the craziness that people are going through in New York. Yo, what's up, Maurice Delk? What's up? What's up? Check out Maurice Delk. Subscribe to Maurice Delk. What's up, Maurice? So this is New York City, ladies and gentlemen. We're living in a society that's diluted. You're living around crazy people, dumb people, low IQ people, litter everywhere. The quality of life has gone down. Your fast food tastes different, tastes weird. Low IQ people are making your low IQ people are your politicians now. A low IQ person is the president of the United States of America now. Kamala Harris, ladies and gentlemen, these Joe Biden should be working at Walmart greeting. Kamala should be working as a supervisor at a McDonald's. I think she would do a great job there. But now you see a lot of cops quitting, the ones with experience, a lot of pilots are quitting. A lot of stuff is going on. Look, New York City, you're getting into fights. You're out there in New York City and you're getting into fights. Look, they hit your woman. Now you got to defend her. So all this stuff that's going on in New York City. New York City is very unlivable. You never know, that train ride to work or back home is your last ride. You're probably going to have to fight somebody. You know how many times I wanted to fight somebody? New York City, you get out of work at 5. You wait 15 minutes for the train. 5:15, you hop on. Then you got to take another train. Then that train is delayed half an hour. It's 6:15 and you're still not home. You don't get home to 7 o'clock because these subway trains, somebody got into a fight in a subway car, so they had to delay it. This happens during rush hour because of this fight, right? They probably have to stop the train, get the cops, investigate. Now that one train holds up the whole rail system, holds up the other trains. Now they got to go express. Now you probably got to go on the other side of the platform, take the train downtown, and then take another train uptown because it's going express now. How inconvenient is this? What if you got to go to work at 2 in the morning, 11 a.m. at a different time, and then stupid things like this happens now? This is what's going on in New York. This is why I left New York City. The red light cameras like Curtis talked about. Potholes. If you get a flat tire, you got to buy a new tire. Maybe you break an axle or something. Red light cameras. Those are like $125 if you get one of those tickets. Cops giving you tickets. Double parking tickets. Every time you're in New York City, they're taking money away from you. Now they want to give you congestion pricing if you drive below 60th Street in Manhattan. Now they want to charge you more. Bad enough, they already charge you $8, $9 to take a toll. What if you got to take 2 bridges to go somewhere in New York? Now you're paying $18. If you got to go to Staten Island, you're already paying $15 for one bridge or $18 to cross one way on a bridge. That's New York City, ladies and gentlemen. New York City is so broken. That's right, Savlo. No Adams, but people are going to elect Adams. People are going to elect Adams, and you're going to keep getting this crime. Remember, Adams is black. Adams, he's going to get by because of his skin color. That's the kind of politicians they want. Why Lori Lightfoot? Lori Lightfoot, right? You want people like Lori Lightfoot, de Blasio, those kind of people. The one that Curtis Sliwa was talking, look, this one. Look at this grandma. Look at this grandma, ladies and gentlemen, getting attacked. This could be somebody's grandma. This could be anybody's grandma. That could be anybody's grandma. Right? And that's the stuff that's going on. Hey, what's up, B Smiley? Yep. Maxine Waters, you can't attack them because of their skin color. That's why those people are put in power, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. Check out Irrational Times. Irrational Times is next. He's live. He should be going live soon. Check him out. I'm going to save some material for the morning show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving me an hour and a half of your time. I also wanted to make it up for today's show. I didn't have no internet. Fast internet. I appreciate you guys. Shout out to Hobo Chili Recipe. Shout out to B Smiley the Third. Shout out to Rocky Man, Rocky Matrix. Shout out to Allison Nocilia. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Hit that like button. Hit the little bell. I'll be going live, breaking news. I go live every morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll get you caught up in the day, brief news. I'll give you the world in 1 hour. We joke around and we keep it light and motivational too. Shout out to Maurice Doug. Shout out to Hillbilly Harry. Shout out to B Smiley the Third. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to AG Hobie. Shout out to Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix. Shout out to Ha 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 Ha. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Hillbilly Harris. Shout out to Rocket Man, Rocky Matrix. Shout out to Hobo Chili Recipe. Shout out to my man Andrew Audio. Shout out to B Smiley the Third. Shout out to Andrew Audio. If I mention your name twice, thank you for the participation. Shout out to Shakes M. Shout out to Andrew Audio. Shout out to Mayonnaise Militia. Long time no see. How you been? Shout out to Wyatt Herb. Shout out to Bluesdog. Shout out to Mysterious. Shout out to Julio Esparza the Third. Dave Palucci. Shout out to Irrational Times, ladies and gentlemen. Irrational Times going live next, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to Shakes M. Shout out to Allison. Who else was in the chat? Shout out to Tamale Harris. And I think I got everybody, right? Shout out to GQ Boy. And yeah, I think I got everybody. All right. I think let me see. Let me scroll back. Shout out to Seth Lowe. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out Obu Chili Rush. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. God willing, I'll see you guys tomorrow live in the morning show. Check out Irrational Times going live next. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching the Mayoral debate with me. Had fun. Glad we got to see it with a lot of people. And I'll recap a little bit again tomorrow. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Have a great night. Take care, everybody.